Hey guys, this is Vince. I created this video to help you guys create your graphics and really go over how the parameters need to be set in the software to make you understand a little bit and appreciate what I do in the sense of the headaches when you're trying to, build a graphic to fit in a specified dimension. The big thing you have to realize is that we want to keep things symmetrical. That being said, if you give me let's say you start out with a graphic that you say you want 2 by 3 inches. I'm going to cover now real quick. I got some demos here, and I can show you exactly now what we're going to encounter. Okay, here's what I need. And this will make my job easier, it'll make your job easier, and it makes your job cheaper. Remember, the less work that I do, the less money I'm going to charge, because of course my time is valuable, and if I'm doing graphics, then there has to be a fee involved. We know that. The big thing here is doing it in a way that makes it simple for you to understand what I go through, and therefore the faster you can provide me an image, or the faster you can provide me the dimensions and accurate dimensions, then the less emailing going back and forth, the less excess communication is needed, and I can get the graphics produced and manufactured and out. The big thing here is your dimensions, and if you look here, I just created this. These are just dimensional formats. Again, you have your height, you have your width, nothing big. This is the same dimensions you would do if you were supplying me the dimensions for your model. And we got our Piper Cub logo. Basically, again, it's just a template, and if you look up here, it shows you the width of this logo and the height. Okay, I get a lot of guys that'll say I want the logo to be 2 by 2. Okay, a logo like this, typically you'll find, where you'll find it, it's on the tail. You'll have some guys that'll want it for their car. Again, the applications are pretty much endless that you want to, support your Piper. But the big thing here is dimensions. Right now, the software is calibrated in Symmetry. And what does that mean? It means if I adjust the width, you can see up here that the height is also adjusting symmetrically. Okay? If it's adjusting symmetrically, now I'm going back down, and you can see it also adjusting symmetrically. If I come over here and I unlock the symmetry, okay, the proportional formatting, you can grow, and I'm growing now with, and if you look at the image, it's getting stretched. Okay, now if I get, and I've had this numerous times, if I get somebody that says I want a 3 by I don't know, a 6 by 3, that's a good example. I want a graphic 6 inches wide by 3 inches. Now you can see what the image would look like out of Symmetry. Okay, you would never ever want this type of image. It doesn't look right. It's gonna, I don't really need to go much farther than that. It's definitely not what anybody would want on their plane, or again, any substrate I can think of. That's not the way it should look. So basically, what we want to do is we want to come over here. We're going to lock our proportions back again, and now we'll come down here to 2 inches. And if you look, now this same image is now locked in at that, so we don't want that. So what we're going to do is come back to Symmetry mode, and now you can see the difference. So how do we find the best symmetry for your model? Meaning, what are we going to find if you're working with a space of 8 inches wide by 3 inches high? What would be this best size that would actually match your model? The easiest way to do that is to pick out basically where your max points are. So if this measurement is 8 by 3, this should not be the measurement of the actual plane itself. Meaning, don't tell me the space that you want to fill with that logo. If you want to fill an 8 by 3 space with that logo, really take into consideration what you're asking. Unless it's a text format like I have here, where you have more length, where you can actually come up here and do that and do it properly to where it looks right. If you do a graphic, you're really going to be in a stretch pattern where if I was to try to fill this, you can see where you're going with that. that's really not appropriate to fill in that pattern at an 8 by 3. And how do we know that? Because if I come up here and I go 8 inches, here's the easiest way. If I go 8 inches, you're at 7. Okay, because this is pretty much a square logo. So you really want to look at that and make that assessment as far as how you want to create your image. The big thing here is you want to be relative. And of course, in order to do that, you have to be, I think, a little more understanding in the sense that what you're dealing with, even if you have this type of space that you have available to you, you may want to look into keeping a graphic a little smaller. If you give me one dimension and you say match 8 inches wide, okay, but you know you only have 3 inches to deal with, you're going to run into problems if we go 8 inches wide. And so really the best thing to deal with is deal with the height, because your height will always be symmetrical. Okay, now this is 3 inches, 3.034. This is 3.033. Again, we're in thousands. It really doesn't matter now what you're dealing with. But at 3 inches in height, you can see you're matching your height, and your width will be pretty much well within the width range. Then it's just a matter of you placing this graphic within this space on your model. So if your maximum length is 8 inches available, and your maximum height is 3 inches available, then you know if you go 3 inches with this graphic, you've got all this extra space here, and the graphic is in perfect format. It's going to look beautiful. If you don't, then you're going to have issues. So the big thing here is you have to think about this prior to asking me to create your graphics, because what ends up happening, and this is what's been happening to me a lot, is I get guys that say I want it to be this length and this width. You know, it really is hit and miss when you say that, because I don't know your max dimensions. Once we know your max dimensions, I can make it to fit. If these are your max dimensions, and once again, you're with your length and your width, I can actually make this fit well within that. Then what I can do is just send you what, like I always do, I send the revision to you. You guys check it out, see if that's what you want to do, and you can go from there. Because otherwise, like I stated, and I'll even do it with text, because text, it's pretty interesting what happens. You know, again, if I come up here and you want to stay symmetrical, okay, we want to come back over here, and now we're staying symmetrical. So if you said I want to go this route and I want to stay within this range, this is where you'd want to be. And again, text is much easier because, again, it's usually narrow, and you know, most guys are not going extremely wide with it, and again, you're just drawing it out. But once you start messing with, you know, coming over here and not dealing with symmetry, then you start having problems. If a guy says, you know, right now we're at 7 inches wide by a little over an inch high, you know, we're actually at almost 7, and we're over 7 3/4 right here. So if we go over here and we start adjusting this, okay, you can see how the letters and everything starts getting wonky. I mean, it's a matter of what you want it to look like. If you want it to look like this drawn out, you can see now I'm just adjusting height, and again, the letters, everything, the font is changing. So if you want it that way, that's basically what you're looking at. So that's why I say you really, really, really want to think about supplying me with the dimensions properly. Just take a moment, measure the model, measure with what you find acceptable, provide me with the max dimensions, length and width, and once you give me the length and width, I can make the graphic fit well within that range, and that will give you the appropriate format. And I'll naturally let you know if it's out of symmetry, and then we can correct it. But overall, that's more or less what we're looking at. And as far as everything else goes, guys, I mean, if you have an image, I can take that image and reproduce it. That being said, be realistic. If you give me a picture that, let's just cut the crap, looks like crap, there's no way you would want it on your model, and you're going to get what you give me. So if you give me a picture that's high resolution, I mean, most people have smartphones today. I don't recommend them for the pictures because, again, you don't have a lot of fine tuning with a smartphone. I mean, you have some, I guess, tweaks, but nothing like a camera. If you do have access to a digital camera, that's the best to use, and then I can, you know, utilize that image to produce you the best format possible. All of my equipment is professional. I have a Graph Tech cutter. It's the top name in the industry. I mean, what you're dealing with, you will get a professional product pending the image that we deal with for that substrate is professional or close to it, and that means using, you know, a high megapixel, high resolution digital device to capture that image. So just keep that in mind. I mean, if you're dealing with one of the new smartphones, the iPhones and all that, keep that in mind. If you're going to take a picture, make sure the lighting is right. Make sure, you know, try to get it as natural as possible, and you will be so shocked at what can be done. It's astounding. So now you guys have a pretty much a good awareness as far as what I require, and then I can supply you the product you're looking for. So thank you for your time. I'll probably make some more videos, anything else to help you guys pick and choose what you're looking at, and I appreciate your time. Take care.